It's a beautiful day, beautiful morning, beautiful afternoon, beautiful evening from wherever you're joining us from. This is your host of the show, Noah Ndlovu, who is sitting in here to talk about the current curriculum that has been introduced in the country of Zambia in Southern Africa. And joining me in the studio is a group of great Zambians who are doing great and meaningful things to help us share some thoughts on the new curriculum. Some of us, when we went to school, we use a curriculum which I think most people were concerned that the curriculum was structured in such a way that it wasn't helpful that much in the development of the country. So now the country has moved forward and has come up with a curriculum which is supposed to address and position Zambia strategically for improvement and advancement. So joining me to give an introduction, we have a representative from the Zambian government, and this is, let's bring up some folks to say hi. So this is going to be an interactive conversation. So if you have a comment, if you have a question, this is a time that you share with your friends the live stream. Call up your friends, call up your neighbors, call up your circles and share our live stream so that at least they are a part and parcel of this important conversation. So without further ado, let's bring up some folks to share some thoughts on this one. So we have Mr. Kenny. So we have Mr. Kenny Ginaina, and we have Dr. Daniel Mpolomaka, and we have Dr. Daniel Mpolomaka is an educator, and we have obviously the distinguished Mr. Ginaina, and also we have another educator, Miss Namumba, Namumba, and we have students joining us from the school on the Copperbelt Mindolo Secondary School. So those are the folks from Mindolo Secondary School. To start us out, okay, so we are getting an echo. So to start us out, so this just gives you a little bit of who is going to be joining us. And then we have a few other folks who will be able to share some thoughts. But to start us out, let's start out with the intro from a representative from the government. Let's go to Mr. Ginaina to give us the thoughts on the new curriculum, what that entails, why the government came up with this curriculum. So without further ado, let's go to the gentleman. Please take it away and share some thoughts on this new curriculum.
Yeah, thank you very much, Noah, for giving me an opportunity to do that. Good afternoon, viewers. I'm talking about the new curriculum, which everyone, I think, is aware and talking about. And it is a shift, of course, as we may be aware, from outcome-based curriculum to competence-based curriculum. What that entails is that we need to put a lot of things in place that should bring this change into reality. There are a number of drivers that have brought this change. Part of the drivers is a pronouncement from our head of state, the need to reform the curriculum. But I also want to just quickly mention that basically the 2013 curriculum was supposed to be reviewed after 10 years. Coincidentally, the time that the pronouncement was made by the president, it was the year that the curriculum should have been reformed, reviewed. And that coincided where, so it is from that point that we took steps on how we can go about reforming this curriculum. It is interesting to realize that we went into evaluating the previous one. We involved stakeholders to give us submissions, different stakeholders, and then we had to compile a report from the field, and then we got the submissions, compiled them, and we started involving the people that were submitting. Some of the submissions could contrast. This one submits a different one, but at the end of the day, the groups agreed and said, this is the way to go, this is what we need. And we compiled that and came up with the curriculum framework, which we had really to take back to the stakeholders through a process we call validation. And we invited different stakeholders, civil society, ministry, departments, and the like, our cooperating partners. They came on board and validated and then it underwent the process that it should go.
All right, so we may be having some technical challenges from Mr. Genainans. And at this point, let's do this. Let's bring up Dr. Mpolomaka. Dr. Mpolomaka, you are obviously an educator, and give us briefly an intro about yourself, and then we'll, yeah, so let's start with an intro, Dr. Mpolomaka.
Thank you, Noah. Greetings, everyone. Whether we are connected in the morning, whether it's in the afternoon, it's in the night, wherever we're watching from, please, you're welcome. This is a very interesting topic to discuss, and I'm humbled to be part of it. Mpolomoka Daniel is my name. I've been teaching in the higher education institutions for some time now, 14, 15 years. So speaking from a teacher trainer perspective and the revision of the curriculum, you realize a lot of hopes that seem to be coming our way. I'm not too sure what could have taken us this long to really rethink about our education system. Quite interesting. If you listened to what Janaina was beginning to explain about the history in terms of how we got here, but you will realize that we are fast approaching times when the so-called Gen Z, who are our children, are very advanced. So we need to give them curriculum that is tailored to their need, that suits the kind of mental faculty that they have. They are fast thinkers, so we need to begin to instill critical thinking in them. They are children that are so much into the digitech, so digital literacy, digital technologies must be pre-wired in the curriculum more than they were when we're learning. I think we started having computers, cell phones when we're very old, way after the universities where we went and so forth. But we see our young ones as early as when they're in early childhood. They're able to operate cellular phones, they're able to send emails, something that is spectacular. So talking about the revision of the curriculum, yes, it's timely. It's important that now the government has actually established this into a framework, the Zambia Education Curriculum Framework. And we hope it will play that crucial role that we anticipate in shaping the country's educational system. Yes, we have seen this new curriculum aligning itself with the national goals, the national development goals. We have seen it also trying to bring in very closely aspects that involve society and the economy. I think those are very crucial aspects that I must applaud about the new curriculum. So we are very optimistic that this new curriculum will promote sustainable development. However, there is another discussion around corners now of OD, organizational development. So should you go for sustainable development? Should you go for organizational development? Which is which? So, but the new curriculum really is a step in the right direction, looking at competence-based education. When you come to higher education institutions, colleges, universities, we've got a spiral issue that we have to keep in the loop as the government is rolling out this new curriculum with the early childhood learners, the primary and secondary levels. We come to tertiary education, you'll notice it's always known a degree takes 4 years, but it has to take 3 years. What does that mean? The postgraduate education also gets to reduce, one which was 2 years, reduced to 1 year and so forth. What does it mean? So exactly what the government is going through with early childhood schools and centers, primary schools, and revising the curricula, it now gives us a huge burden as teacher trainers to reorient teachers to meet the needs of the learners. I think with those opening remarks, I would end there. Noah?
Yeah. So thank you, sir. That was great. So we're gonna go back to and then we're gonna come back to see if we can establish a connection with Mr. Jenaina, and then we'll get back to you, Dr. Polomaka. So we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll be back in a few seconds. Yes, so we are back with Mr. Jenaina. Sorry, we had a technical challenge on the other side. So, Mr. Jenaina, please continue from where you left off.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the wonderful comments by Dr. Kolmani. What I was saying was that it has taken a process, and so far where we have come is at a point when the curriculum framework, the Zambian education curriculum framework, has been developed, validated, and approved, meaning that the other steps towards completing this task have to be taken. Part of the curriculum development is that of material development. Rightly put by Dr. Nkomani, we have shifted from outcome-based curriculum to competence-based curriculum, meaning that a number of guidelines, syllabi should be provided to ensure that the teachers do not take life as usual, the way they were teaching, so that they also change to what is expected. I should be quick to mention that there is a lot of talk around this on social media, elsewhere. We are not dealing with a teacher who is not trained. We are dealing with the teachers that are already trained, but the change to competence-based basically is shifting a teacher's methodology, pedagogy, to tailor it towards the competence-based. the information, the knowledge, yes, may change here and there, maybe adjustment, what was supposed to be in this grade goes in the other grade and so on and so forth, realignment of the content, but basically the content remains the same because a 1 + 1, anyway, in the old, the answer would be 2, similarly it would be 2 in this one, but how to get that into competences is what our main focus is. So it is important for me also to state that there are advantages of this, and it is something that needs the support of everyone else, because the drivers of this, one of them is the aspiration of the nation. The other driver is that we, the same people, have in the past talked about what education in Zambia is offering. And we have examples of people talking about someone goes to school, comes back, and we can't even make our own, toothpicks and all that. We have to import. So we would like to go it a competence way so that we contribute effectively to the development of our nation. And this is, I think, the very underlying factor of this curriculum. We also have to bear in mind, this one I'll say it, that we need also to adjust and align ourselves to global happenings. Doc clearly stated, the changes that are going on worldwide. And we need to incorporate that so that our students from here, even when they go out, they will be effective. Those who have been, disadvantaged by probably even giving them breaching courses, those who go to study because of the fact that they've not done this and that, maybe A levels. So all those things, we need to bring them into the curriculum so that our students, our learners are not disadvantaged. For now, I want to just mention that this process has brought a number of changes in the educational system, which we might be talking about as we go on. So maybe for now, these changes, I can pause when the right time comes, in case there are all those comments and the like. I will present on the reforms that have actually taken place so that people understand them and are able to follow through. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That was a good opening, and we have a long way to go. So those who have questions, comments, you want to make sure that at least you can still chime in, send your comment, send your question on social media, and then we'll be able to bring them up on the screen. At this point, we're gonna, because we have a good number of panelists who are joining us to share some thoughts. So I think at this time, we're gonna bring up, there are a number of people. So I see there's already a question in the comment section, but before we get to that comment section, let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Quick break and we'll be right back. Sit back, relax, and also it gives you an opportunity to reach out to your friends and ask them to come and join us, because this is very important conversation that is very meaningful, very impactful for our country, our beloved Zambia. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy this beautiful track.
Mitengo izo, amama mitengo izo. Mitengo izo, mitengo izo, mitengo izo. Mitengo izo, amama mitengo izo. Tisazijue, tisazitente, tisawanonge,
We are discussing the future of Zambia by looking at the education sector, which for the longest time needed some cosmetics. And we have distinguished people who are here to share some thoughts. And we are also delighted that we have some students from Mindolo High School who will share some thoughts, because usually when we are having this type of conversation, it's usually government and the stakeholders and the people in high places. But we are very fortunate enough that we have students to share their what they think about this conversation. So before we proceed any further, for those who are just joining us now, we have been talking to Mr. Kenny Janina, who is the director he's the principal curriculum specialist, and he is giving us an overview of what the government has been working on. So I think we're gonna give him some time again to give us a little bit of, before we open it up to the stakeholders, we wanted to make sure we give him enough time to share what he wants to communicate with the rest of the country. So let's go back to you, Mr. Janina. Please continue the update, and once thereafter we'll open it up to the stakeholders to get their thoughts. But please continue where you left off, sir.
Thank you very much. There is a question, first of all, that I want to address now. The question that people ask, is it needful? Is there a need really to change? What gaps have been identified from the previous curriculum to this curriculum? Mm-hmm. Starting from there, I want to mention that the 2013 curriculum, we are not saying it was a bad curriculum. There are aspects that we have actually engulfed and added to whatever changes we are making. But the following things that I'm going to outline are some of the things that made this transformation, this reform. The first part is that you may be aware that the 1996 educational policy has been changed. We have a new one, the 2023 curriculum policy. And that policy means that the curriculum needed to be adjusted as well to meet the aspirations of that new policy. That is number one. Number two is the fact that when you look at the responsiveness of the previous curriculum to individual, societal, and national needs, it left much, to be desired, because some of the parts were not addressing those needs. So it was proper that the review and the reformation is done. But coming back to ourselves as individuals and the nation as a whole, inadequate competences in the educational system, and those competences that could drive the skills and competences that could drive the 8th national development plans and aspirations that we have outlined, made the curriculum to be reviewed, and that was a gap which was actually identified even when we were doing the review. Another aspect was the fact that the curriculum itself was not addressing the emerging issues, most of the emerging issues that have come on board. Examples, computer issues to do with the computer studies or computer science, issues to do with travel and tourism, issues to do with digital literacy, issues to do with entrepreneurship, climate change, anti-corruption, cultural diversity. You hear, the Luvale, just to mention, maybe the Lundas are not cooperating with each other, this and that, a number of these aspects. And because of that, we wish to bring out an individual that will definitely be instrumental in addressing these emerging issues. Other aspects were the loss of our national identity. When you look at what is going on around, especially our young generation, you may agree with me that there was need for us to put into the curriculum certain aspects that will really give us our national identity and values and principles that we need. And this new curriculum takes into account that aspect of our identity as a nation. The other thing is the inadequate literacy and numeracy exit skills in our learners, and significant resources really wasted in terms of learning materials and examination resources and so on. So that instead of us going it the way we wish it.
Okay, technical challenge. Let's go back. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like we lost Mr. Janina, but we'll get him back. We'll get him back. So in the meantime, let's go to Dr. Polomaka. There was a question while we are waiting to connect with Mr. Janina. There was a question in the comment. Let's go to the comment section. So there's a question, and let's see. There is a question for you. Can the panelists kindly define what Zambia's needs are and how the curriculum responds to them?
Okay,
yeah, take it away.
That's a tough question, McDonald, and it tells me he's a journalist. So the question can be answered from different fronts, but common amongst the many things that we seem to see and hear are issues to do with poverty reduction, youth empowerment and employment, development, community participation in various developmental issues. Now, when you heard the last bits of what Mr. Janina was talking about, he was talking about entrepreneurship. That is talking about youth empowerment, youth being innovative. When you look at the curriculum, right from early childhood, primary, secondary, we see these strands, very consistent elements that have been brought back. The same people who are complaining are the same people who are seeing citizenry, the youth, very youthful people in communities sitting on the fronts of beer halls and bars and nightclubs as early as 6 hours. Right in the backyards, they sit and talk about the government should help them sink a toilet in their backyard. What does that tell us? It just tells us that we need to educate the children. When in the olden days, civic education was only taught in grade 8 and 9, for those who were going to grade 10, 11, and 12, we did not have any form of civic education. We saw a revision in the curriculum that introduced civic education, and it was now taught grade 10 to 12. And meanwhile, in the junior section, we still had it as what? As civics. So these are developments that are meant to help us as educationists see a citizenry that we want to see in them that should develop, contribute to the development of the nation. So different aspects of the needs of the country are supposed to be propelled by the curriculum. They say a teacher teaches the nation, and when we see an engineer was taught by a teacher. So depending on what the teacher teaches, the citizenry will develop. So that is just one small aspect, an aspect of critical thinking, an aspect of civic engagement. In developmental discussions, we talk about civic engagement, engagement of communities in different developmental activities. That's why we have the ward development committees. We have the, what do you call them in politics? Area councillor and so forth. Those are meant to organize how communities and the citizenry are in different sectors, but they come from very far. Let's go back and look at the early childhood area. If you look at how the early childhood learning curriculum has been designed, it has been designed with key competences, critical areas that are supposed to promote creativity in them, social skills in them, early literacy and numeracy. Yes, these were there, but they've been enhanced. And now we must see from a very tender age, a child who grows up with national development idea embedded in them. They should understand the environment where they are, the community where they are, and how certain basic aspects weave through. Not a disconnected child. I saw a colleague, Professor Yamba, Vice Chancellor from Zambian Open University, create a podcast. I think it was a series of about 19 podcast sessions. He was talking about the importance of early childhood, why we are missing it. It's because we did not have a very good beginning with some children. They become deviant, they become vulgar, that's language. They are social misfits, okay? They do not appreciate the society in which they are. What we need to see is an enforcement of this new curriculum. It really has good strides in it. I hope McDonald's, just from that perspective, we are able to see a gap in social and emotional development that the early childhood curriculum is trying to reinforce in our early learners. So as we go on, I can still be giving examples from different levels, primary, secondary, and even university. McDonald, sorry, is that Noah?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, no, that is well answered. And thank you, sir, for that comment. So we're gonna bring up, I know, when you are planning something like this, there are always some technical challenges. So let's go back to our representative from the government, and then we'll be right back with for him to conclude his thoughts. So we're going to be right back in a few seconds so that at least we can have the representative, Mr. Kenny Jenaina, finalized, and then thereafter we will transition to the other stakeholders. We have quite a number of people who are eager to chime in and share their thoughts, but just sit back, relax, and then we conclude with the overview and opening from Mr. Jenaina, and then everybody else will chime in. Just sit back, relax, ladies and gentlemen, and also share the stream with your friends and circles, so at least they can be part and parcel of this conversation. Yes, sir. So we had a little technical challenge on that end. So we're gonna go back so that at least you can finalize your thoughts. So please proceed.
Thank you very much. I was actually talking about the major gaps and challenges that we have as a nation, and just to highlight to the nation on the need for this change. One of the things that I'd lastly mentioned is the issue of our own identity as a nation. I did highlight to the literacy and the numeracy exit skills that are lacking, hence the wastage of our resources in terms of training. And then we also need to know now, in addition, that the non-alignment of educational system that we have and the qualifications with the international standard is really a need, and this is what actually has been one of the driving factors into the change of this curriculum. For instance, learners advancing automatically from grade 7 to grade 8, despite not exhibiting desirable numeracy and literacy skills, they can't read, they can't do this even to, at that time, on this time, grade 8, such learners often face a lot of challenges in attaining, success in grade 9 in the previous setup. We also have those challenges of non-alignment of our qualifications in terms of the bodies at higher levels, the degree. There was the saying that a degree in Zambia is actually equivalent to a high diploma elsewhere also. And yet, this is just because of one or two aspects that have not been put into consideration. A child going from Zambia to go and do studies outside, they will first want to give them bridging courses, all those aspects that we look at. And then the long schooling duration, it was felt we needed to reduce the schooling duration, and not having learners have heavy workload where they are given so many subjects to take, for whatever reason. And then more importantly, learners, expected exit competences. They were not even well defined. You don't know what the learner has gone out with. They are learning, for instance, application letters. Soon after grade 12 or so, the learners come home and there is an advertisement for them to get employed. What do you see? The very child who's coming from school goes to the father, help me to write an application, which is very abnormal in one way or the other, because we expect that when one has learned something, must go out with a certain skill or a competence to do that particular thing. So all those things are what we wish to address. And the issues of inclusiveness in the current education is another thing that we really have incorporated in this new curriculum. There is also limited use and recognition of school-based assessment. The 2013 education curriculum has not provided for extensive use of formative assessments for teaching and learning. And so we are working around that so that there is more practical. But above whatever, the shift to competence-based, it means that the emphasis now will have shifted from not just what the learner must know, but what the learner must do. They can articulate a lot of things, but they can't do what they are talking about. So the issue of competence-based, in my view, has come at the right time when we need people who will not always look to government to be employed, because this is one of the diseases that has plopped into the country. Someone completes, is on the street, turns to be a thief or whatever. When they get competences, they were supposed to use those competences. Actually, they were supposed to be employers instead of just always waiting to be employed. This is one of the aspirations that I think the nation is. I like the way Doc, articulated on our needs. And for sure, education is what will, meet the needs. If we want doctors, if our need is health, if our need is this and that, it's the driver, it's the backbone of national development education. And so we need to align our education to the standards that elsewhere, education should meet our needs. For now, I think I can first end there, because I'm not talking about the changes that we have made at this stage, in case others also need to come in and say one or two things. Thank you, Noah.
Well, thank you, sir. Well said, well said. So at this point, we're gonna bring in another person who has spent a lot of time in this space of education, and this is Mr. Aaron Chansa. So let me bring up Mr. Chansa so that at least he can share some thoughts and tell us what he's been up to. So Mr. Chansa, let's start with an introduction of yourself.
Thank you so much. Are you getting me?
Oh,
hello?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you able to get me?
Yeah, you are live and direct. So I think we're gonna get back to you in a few seconds. Let me, because I think we have to adjust your camera. Yes. So
okay, no problem.
Yes, we're gonna get back to you in a few seconds. So let's go back to let's bring in let's hear from let's hear from Madam Namumba as a teacher, as an educator. Give us an introduction and share your thoughts on what we are discussing thus far.
So, my name is Nkumbu, Namumba, an educator. I've been a teacher for 8 years. And apart from that, I'm an edu innovator on the Ubuntu Hub. So, my thoughts when it comes to the new curriculum are that first, having read the curriculum framework, I realized that it actually aligns itself with Zambia's developmental needs. It aligns itself with Zambia's that first it focuses on responsibility, and then apart from that, it has a learner-centered. Then apart from that, aligns itself with inclusive teaching and teaching. So this is actually good, and
yeah, it appears there's some background noise from there's some background noise from the lady. We'll circle back to her. Okay, there's some background noise. Okay, while we wait for Mr. Chansa to get situated on his page, let's go to Dr. Kabani. I don't know if he's ready to come on. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I think Dr. Kabani is ready.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Greetings to everybody that is following through the session and the discussion. My name's Daniel Ngombo Kabani, as introduced. I head a consulting firm that is into education, and that is DNK General Consultancy, but equally I've been within the space of education at tertiary level, focusing mainly on medical sciences, where I teach pharmaceutical sciences, but also human anatomy in medical schools and health institutions. From our side, as educational consultants, we have had keen interest in the development of the new curriculum, which is actually competence-based. And we know that the new curriculum is competence-based, and the old curriculum was outcome-based. Maybe in these conversations, it might be very important to define terminologies, especially to lay people. What does competence-based curriculum mean? So as highlighted from the other panelists, it is important to know that the outcome-based curriculum was knowledge-based. The competence-based curriculum is skill-based. Now, those within the space of education would have come across the works of educationists such as Professor Bloom, I think his works around education are quite foundational, and many education institutions base their education philosophy around the works that were done by Professor Bloom, was an educationist in the United States of America around the 1940s and 50s. Professor Bloom theorized that if a person is going to be competently or whole-roundedly educated, he must be educated in 3 domains. These being the cognitive domain, which is also called the knowledge domain, the affective domain, which is called the attitude domain, and the psychomotor domain, which is the skills domain. And you agree with me that that just makes logical sense, that you must be educated in the knowledge domain. And education or learning should mean you are acquiring new knowledge. But equally, from personal experience and real life experience, you'd know that knowledge is not enough. You must acquire the right attitude. And this goes to things such as developing emotional intelligence, ability to empathize, ability to develop soft skills, such as ability to listen, and things like that. These are very critical in developing a human being. But then also you need skills, which is ability to do things. What can you do? What can you produce? That is what any economy would be looking for. Now, if you analyze how our learning has been through the old curriculum and even up to now, before the change in curriculum, it was focusing on developing one domain, which is the knowledge domain. That limitation in only developing a human being in the knowledge domain produces people that regurgitate information because it appeals to the rote memory. So you know so much which you do not know how to apply, which you do not know how to use to create, solutions, to provide solutions to problems and things like that. So the competence-based curriculum focuses on developing the skills. This is nothing new. There are many countries that are doing, basing their education curriculum on competence. Even here in Africa, such countries as Kenya. Kenya's education system is based on competences. It's a competence-based curriculum. And those of you that have had a chance to interact with our friends from Kenya, you're going to realize that there are a lot of innovations that come out of Kenya. Even when we talk about the digital space, okay, digital literacy, digital space, innovation, creating of applications, digital solutions, Kenya is way advanced. And it is because these are some of the things that are actually being done in terms of competence-based. For now, in what I have to say, maybe I'll summarize by also speaking to a question that I saw which was raised here. And the question was asking to say, what are the needs of Zambia and how does this curriculum speak to the needs? Because a curriculum must be needs-driven. But not only needs-driven, it should be a curriculum that speaks to the global trends and the global economy. Okay? So I think a competence-based curriculum speaks to these things. Now, Zambia has what we call Vision 2030, which is a guiding document that is then backed by what we call national development plans. And currently we have the 8th National Development Plan, which is a plan, a national plan guiding us in terms of our development running from 2022 to 2026. Now, the National Development Plan has 4 strategic development areas. And these 4 strategic development areas that the 8th National Development Plan is focusing on, the first one is actually economic transformation and job creation. Now you're going to realize that what is the driver in terms of job creation? The driver in job creation is not the public sector. In any economy, it is the private sector. Jobs are made in the private sector. What is the private sector? The private sector is enterprise. It is trade and commerce. It is people that are trading in goods and services. That is entrepreneurship. So whether you're going to talk of Singapore, you're going to talk about China, all these economies are driven by the private sector. Our previous curriculum did not emphasize entrepreneurship. So you produced people that can't enterprise. But this competence-based curriculum that factors in entrepreneurship running through the whole time of school will then produce people that can enterprise. Those of you that love to read, you can go and look at a certain report, which is the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. Okay, that survey was done here in Zambia 2011, 12, 13, led by the late Professor Shikuta. In there, you're going to realize that, by the way, in terms of economic entrepreneurship activity, Zambia is the leading country in the whole of Africa. And yet, in terms of business failure, again, we're the leading country. And of the things that were highlighted in terms of business failure was lacking entrepreneurship skills. While we have the zeal to enterprise, we lack skills. So we enterprise out of intuition, and most of these ventures fail in less than 3.5 years. But if we can have a curriculum that builds entrepreneurship skills in people from a young age, then you get the skills. When you finish school, you can enterprise. You can then employ and create employment. This in itself would then tackle one of our needs, which is job creation, because unemployment is high. We deal with this through such things. Then you talk about the second development area, which is human and social development, but maybe I'll focus on the two other last development areas, which is environmental sustainability. A long time ago, issues of environmental sustainability were not really an issue. But I think we have all seen what happened just last year. We had a drought, and that drought almost led to starvation. Right now, the cost of living is high, partly because of the drought that we had. And many of our people do not understand issues of environmental sustainability. The new curriculum has an emphasis on climate mitigation and adaptation. These things must be taught to our people throughout the years of school. Okay, natural resource management. These things must be taught so that we are able to preserve our environment and adapt to the changes. Good governance is another strategic development area in our national development. And you're going to realize that the competence-based curriculum has a strong emphasis on this. Right now, there's a proposal for constitutional amendment. And I see a lot of debate on Facebook about that constitution. But I can bet you that an average person debating the Constitution on Facebook has never seen, not read the Constitution. They have never seen the Constitution. They have never read the Constitution. It's based on hearsay, and people are debating either for or against amendment. Issues of constitutionalism are things that should be taught right throughout. This is where things such as patriotism within a country come from. They come from understanding such things. So I feel at a personal level that moving towards a competence-based curriculum as proposed is actually a good move. Thank you.
Well said, Dr. Kabani, well said. So we're going to go ahead and now there are a lot of people who are having a few technical challenges. So we are waiting on Mr. Aaron Chansa, and he's having a technical challenge on his end. So we are hoping that he's situated and he gets back. So in the meantime, let's see if we can bring up the students from Mindolo High School. So we have two students, Titus and Patricia. They are joining us from Mindolo High School. So we want to make sure that at least they chime in their thoughts, but I think they are also having a glitch on their end. So let's go back to the representative from the government. Let's bring back Mr. Jenaina. What are your thoughts so far based on what has been shared? What are your thoughts? Because I know you want to chime in. Okay, yeah, make sure you are unmuted, sir.
Sorry. Thank you very much, first of all, and I appreciate so much the previous speaker, because he has actually gone ahead into even part of the changes that we have made in the curriculum, which was very, very good. I just want to start by highlighting that we have chosen certain competences due to the needs that we have, found from the submissions and the like, that the educational system at the end of someone's learning must really possess because of certain things we are seeing around. One of them is critical thinking. We have 12 of the general competences that we have enshrined in the curriculum. So analytical thinking is one of them. Then collaboration, people that can work together, people that can, cooperate even when they are together. We have creativity and innovation. We always wish to depend on what we have. What creativity is not a part of what is happening, but we want to bring the young ones to such an extent where they are able to, create things. They are able to innovate, things. We have digital literacy. We have entrepreneurship, which is well highlighted, and the need of the time. We have financial literacy, citizenship, communication. They must go out with the competences of how to communicate effectively, not just communicating, but communicating effectively. We had analytical thinking. They also need, critical thinking. The other one, I think I need to say something, emotional intelligence. In a situation where certain things are not there, should we continue to cry, or is it the answer is social media or what? People need to have that emotional intelligence. Our young ones must know how to approach issues, even those that affect their own emotions or emotions of others. We have the environmental sustainability, this carelessness all over of probably dumping things. Anyhow, you are moving, you don't care, and the like. We want to bring these issues to the learners that are going through this educational system. And then lastly, problem solving. When they are in a critical challenge, a problem, how do they solve problems? Is it to go to the street and start stealing because I have no money? Is it to go and start killing people? Is it to fight? What kind of education we want is education that definitely will bring such problem solving, competences in our people. It is important to mention that this curriculum has incorporated the national concerns and emerging issues, which are very critical. Those that my brother was just from talking about, highlighting issues of governance, issues of corruption, issues of human rights and freedoms, issues of special and inclusive education, issues of climate change, which has affected not just Zambia, issues of nutrition and health, issues of drug and substance abuse, issues of mental health, to name but a few. There are a number of these issues that we need to bring on board. And this curriculum identifies about 18 of them that are critical, that should be addressed in the content that will be given to the learners, and expecting that they will do certain things that will show that for sure they've acquired this knowledge, they've acquired the skills, and then they have the right attitude and the values to be able to operate as the citizens of this nation. Yeah, so I do not know if at this stage I can get into the reforms that we have come up. Maybe some of these reforms will address one of the questions I have seen on the comment, the question of how does this curriculum wish to address some of these needs of our nation, maybe,
right.
maybe
So we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, you can get into those reforms. And once you get through with your presentation, we're gonna go back to see if we can establish contact with Mr. Aaron Chansa, who is also an expert in this space of education and policy formulation, and we'll get some thoughts from him. And then we'll open it up because we have some educators in the background there and some students and other people who like to chime in. So we're going to take a short break, and then we'll finish up on the reforms, and then we'll have an open conversation. So sit back, relax, and we'll be right back. All right, Mr. Jenaina, if you can get through the reforms, and then we'll circle back to the rest of the panelists to share their thoughts. So please take it away and share your thoughts on the reforms.
Thank you very much. The first part is that of the curriculum structure itself, this time, and the reforms that we have made. We all are aware that we used to have a structure where we had 4 years of lower primary. Then we had, again, 3 years of upper primary. We had 2 years of junior secondary and 3 years of senior secondary school. We have come with something similar, but because of the need I mentioned to reduce the number of years that learners have to be in school and the workload of the subjects, we have a structure which is 3-6-4-2. Now, I'll explain that. This means that there will be 3 years of early childhood education. And now early childhood education is education that the ministry will provide and not just look to the private sector. The 3 years are grouped in 3 categories again. You have those that are 0 to 3 years. Here we have twinned with our sister departments, such as the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Community Development, because of the delicacy of that particular, stage. But the ministry is providing also for 3 to 4 years in our, schools or centers, and then 4 to 5 years. So that make up the 3 years of ECCDE that the ministry is providing, that is early childhood education. But we also want to mention that there are some transitional assessments for readiness of these learners to transit from one stage to the other that will be administered. Then it comes to the reform at the primary school level as well, where we will have 6 years of primary education instead of 7 years. You know, we are just emphasizing, but we are aware that these have been highlighted in many fora by my superiors. But just for the sake of the listeners and those that could have missed and the things we are seeing on social media, hence the need to emphasize some of these parts. So the 6 years, meaning that grade 1 to grade 6, that will be primary education. So we will no longer have grade 7. But we have also brought the lower primary a bit low. It will be grade 1 to grade 3 instead of to grade 4 as it used to be. And then we will have grade 4 will be now upper primary, 5 and 6. It therefore means that the learners should write their exam in grade 6. So examinations will be administered in that grade. Then we have now 4 continuous years of ordinary level secondary school. We used to have grade 8 and 9 as junior secondary, and then we had the 10 to 12. But this time, a child that completes grade 6 and qualifies, passes to go to Form 1, will have to go from Form 1 up to Form 4. What will be undertaken during this course are assessments, school-based assessments, and with good guidance to ensuring that the learners are actually acquiring the competences that are prescribed by in the syllabus. So that will continue to go. There are a number of questions around this. I will not go into them now, but probably later. Then we
Yeah, looks like we are. Okay, yeah, could be some technical challenge on the part for Mr. Janina. So let's see if maybe Mr. Aaron Chansa, because he's been eager to jump in the conversation. So, Mr. Chansa, yeah, I see now you are situated there. So, I think a lot has been said. So, just a brief intro, and you obviously you can share your thoughts on what has been shared. So, just a brief intro and take it away, sir.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Chansa. I'm the Executive Director for National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, one of the organizations which have been pushing for curriculum reforms and also more money in education, better teacher training, better or improved teacher motivation, and have been very, very vocal on issues to do with the prudence utilization of money in the sector. I'm also Vice President for AfriTeach. AfriTeach is a continental body that has brought together civil society organizations in Africa and also teacher unions for the sake of quality education. I sit on a few boards and one international board. I'm also an author of a book called If I Were a Minister of Education in Zambia. A controversial title, but very, very pragmatic and providing solutions to the challenges that we face as a country. And I've been involved in a number of issues in education for the last 15 years.
All right, so hopefully, yeah, technical challenge, I guess, on his end. So we are hoping he's going to be situated. So the challenge when you are having a live program, it's you have moments like this. So moments like this. So let's see if we'll get back momentarily. So let's see. We have some students. I know the students are excited. They are standing outside and ready to share their thoughts. Let's see. Hello, students from Mindolo High School or Secondary School. Are you able to? Okay, there is a challenge right before your very eyes. So let's do this. Let's bring up Dr. Polomaka. What are your thoughts based on everything that has been shared? And make sure you are unmuted. What are your thoughts so far based on what has been shared?
Yeah, I think we are having a very progressive chat from what has been shared so far. If you followed through what Mr. Kenny was talking about in terms of the realignment of the structure of the education system, I think he ended somewhere. We'll leave him to come and complete that part as a government official. But what we want to say and speak to are aspects that are reinvigorating in the youths, an aspect of selflessness, their engagement in civic matters. But what I want to speak to is an aspect that Daniel also touched. He was referring to the Vision 2030, the National Development Plan. He did not mention about the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which are many. You have SDG number 4, talking about what Mr. Kenny was talking about, inclusivity, equality, quality of education. But I want to speak to one that is SDG number 4, zero hunger, life on land. That's SDG number 15. If you look at our 8th National Development Plan, it talks about the grassroots, us people at the bottom, coming up with activities that feed into communities, into the nation, and that's just how it is meant to be, that development will begin from the people at the ground. How will it begin if the child that we have at home, who is in grade 7, who is in grade 12, who is at college, sleeps from morning to evening because you've given them everything in the fridge? And the backyard, the hose pipe in the backyard, the water in the backyard is just lying idle. So if you look at the new curriculum, I'm looking at critical aspects that have been placed there for a reason. And the reason is, if we have from our households, people that are conscientized, they're made conscious that you can grow vegetables. You can grow calembula, you can grow chihuahua, you can grow cabbage, you can grow whatever type of vegetable you can grow, and you will not go hungry. You can grow any other kind of agricultural product you'd want. Is it the fruits, pawpaw, oranges? You can try and have, interest. How long does it take for rape to grow and you eat? Just 3 weeks. 3 weeks, 1 week to 3 weeks. So if these aspects, as it stands now, are now being embedded in the curriculum right from the primary school, which is there now, this made me remember a colleague we're together with, but he was our permanent secretary, Jobix, Dr. Jobix Kalumba. You remember with his talk about fish ponds, schools being self-sufficient and whatnot. He began from that point, but the government has just actually placed it in the right manner. Can we begin talking about this in a manner that is formalized? So now it's in the national curriculum framework. Now our curricula can emphasize on it. Yes, it's formalized. But when he began this advocacy, some sectors really took him for a radical. He was a radical, but he wasn't. He was just a pragmatist, speaking about practical things that can bring about development from a small level and community level and national level. Somebody that learns how to grow vegetables on a small scale, one day will know how to grow vegetables on a large scale, become a supplier, become an exporter. So this aspect in the curriculum is, to me, an extremely important aspect. It speaks to the agriculture sector. It helps us promote the environmental practices that Daniel was talking about. A pharmacist talking about education like that, it was very impressive. He was speaking about the national development goals. We need to begin to promote both the regional, which is our national development plans, and the international ones, which are the Sustainable Development Goals. I've made reference to only two: the Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger, and the Sustainable Development Goal number 15, Life on Land. Okay, so Noah, if you notice, in our discussions, we want to try and attach, in a very simplistic manner, the relationship between this curriculum that has been realigned and just how it relates to us as individuals, as a general citizenry, and as institutions of learning. We are a teacher training institution.
Great. Well said, sir. So I think we're going to take a short break, and then when we get back, we're going to bring up everybody else so that at least, because I know a few people, we apologize, they are having some technical challenges on their end. That's one of the challenges when you are doing a live program, is you don't know what to expect. And that's what makes it interesting, because sometimes when you pre-record, it's obvious it has got its peaks, but sometimes it's good to get the creative juices right in the moment when it's happening. So let's take a short break, and then we'll be right back, and everybody else is going to be plugged up on the screen to share their thoughts. You'll be able to hear from students from Mindolo High School, and then we'll try to see if maybe Mr. Aaron Chansa can be able to fully speak to this subject matter. And also we have another educator, Mr. Jeff Kapasa, but he was having some challenges, but hopefully everybody else is going to be back on. So enjoy this song. This song came out after I think HH had won, and I think everybody else was impressed, or maybe just me. Everybody else was impressed with the certain politician had a very unique name. So I think the song will speak to it. It's I think the person became very popular because of his name. So here is the little clip.
It's King Nachi on the beat, so you know. Value so. Jinx Justin right here, the ex-boyfriend. You gotta believe in yourself. Will I kuishika weka? Abantu tabana kukuseka. Kuitetekelanga hamududu. 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 Kuitetekelanga hamududu. Hamududu. Hamududu IV. Zero. Bonse tutampa pa zero. Jakesho kuponya makilo. Father God can be my hero. Nalishiwa tinka teka mailo. Apona batata ba HH. Wali wominga sana bench. Eventually ilafike nshita. Na fiance fio kabilo kashta. So whatever you do tekwesha kunenuka. Hamdudu ni example iweka. Senda mwa mano mufile chitika. And put it to use inga ule kutika. You gotta believe in yourself. Will I kuishika weka? Abantu tabana kukuseka. Kuitetekelanga hamududu. 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 Kuitetekelanga hamududu. Hamududu. So whether wasangwa paka sido. Nolo wap kama mo studio. Let me tell you this, even if you knew, nobody's got to believe in you. Tekwewa tinga chavalipo ukafilwa, bachama ghost na discipline inga chafilwa. Success ni guarantee wila tushika, nifyo wafwa ila upone katushika. Hustle your way up, something like anti-milli. Transform your few quachas into a milli. Create your happiness kwa Commander Gracie. Wikabaleka ukukuchita disgrace. You gotta believe in yourself. Wila ikuishika weka. Awanteta bana kukuseka. Kuitetekelanga hamududu. 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 Kuitetekelanga hamududu. Hamududu. Alive. Failure so. It's been Jinx Justin, the ex-boyfriend.
The king is here.
Hamududu.
KMV Records.
All right, people, if you're just joining us, we are having a conversation on the Zambia's new education curriculum. And now we are going to bring up everybody else, but just to get back to the song, I think Hamududu, it was a name that got people excited. And I think especially for, maybe I could be speaking for myself, but the people that I've spoken to, most of them, they were excited just the name. Not necessarily the politician, but just the name. So I believe that is accurate information. So I think we have most of the folks on. So a lot has been shared, and Mr. Chansa, I know you were in the middle of finishing your thoughts. What say you based on what has been shared?
I think most of the things have been shared. I was listening to the submissions, except to say that Zambia, like many African countries, are not guilty of the offense of developing very good policies. I think we are culprits in terms of implementation, because when you look at a curriculum, it is a framework, it is a roadmap, it is a guide upon which systems of education are built.
Okay, I think technical challenges. So, Mr. Janina, I mean, feel free to comment if you are able to. And also, I think now we'll just open it up for some back and forth conversation. So also Dr. Mpolomaka, and feel free at any point if you have to jump in. And because I think the others are maybe having some technical challenges. So what say you, based on what has been said so far? Was there anything else that has come to mind, Mr. Janina, that you wish to put across?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I think there is one thing that I should mention. As we go around orienting people, there is this question that goes round. Are we ready to start?
Mm-hmm.
Should we wait? You know, I attribute it to a situation where a person wants to marry, and then because he has no resources to marry, he says, I'll only marry after everything is put on the table. Finally, he grows old like me, and he cannot marry because he hasn't got that. So really, when you look at the things that we are behind in the problems that we are talking about, that has necessitated the competence-based curriculum, some of the things, are very critical. One is, do we have all the resources? But the question still comes, should we wait until when we will have all the resources brought to the table, then we should start? I can rest assure you that we can take more than 10 years. We are still waiting for all the resources because this curriculum change is actually expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We are better placed to start, and with what we are emphasizing on competency-based, start solving the problems as we meet them and as we go on. Because if we, so I would just wanted to emphasize to that. So in terms of implementation, it is not smooth sailing, that I should confess, because of the cost that really is involved. But if Noah, yourself, myself, and everyone else comes on board to do one part or the other, I can assure you that when we succeed in competence-based curriculum, the nation will not be the same. I like the way Dr. Daniel was putting it. We really need the direction where we don't have crybabies only in the sitting room, hoping that the president, the minister, the councillor will bring food on their table. I think that is not the attitude. And he touched one important thing. Even a backyard garden is a challenge to have. But in this curriculum, because we are emphasizing competences, and for your own information, as they go to secondary school, the career pathways, and some people have said, why do you bring in career pathways? We can't just say everyone must go in one direction. One day we will like teachers to teach those that are coming. The other day we will have no healthy personnel. So we need to guide so that we have also the career pathways in order for us as a nation to be self-contained. And probably one day we will see what we are importing. I'm looking forward to, after 10 years of this curriculum implementation, to see if toothpicks will be made in Zambia.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. That's a very good point, because you don't wait for everything to be in place. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So, Dr. Mpolomaka, what say you to that?
Yeah, I was wondering whether you're in the same area with Mr. Kenny, and the network just went. So, yeah, picking it up from his submission, it's interesting. I think we so far applaud what the government efforts in trying to raise masses on the new curriculum, and also trying to ascertain the general populace that, what, this curriculum is good, we're going to do it, because the question he asked, are we ready, is a question to, find out if resources are in place, if people to teach are in place. His first remarks were, why are you scared of somebody to teach a child in this new curriculum when actually these are teachers who are trained? Remember his statement. So if we move along with that, we are assured that we already have skill, we have manpower, right? We already have manpower. Okay, so he's back. Maybe we can allow him to finish his thought.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's quite interesting. You may allow me to just make this comment, to the viewers out there.
By all means, go ahead.
Yes, the issue of the resources has been rightly put. There is a lot that is going on in these resources, and that it really needs a lot of it. But we cannot also be complacent and think that curriculum can be implemented without these necessary resources. I want to register that. And these resources may not only depend on government. I will give you an example in this curriculum, even mere teaching. Do you know that even people who have not gone to training can contribute in a curriculum which is competence-based. Out there, we have people who know how to capture. Some know tailoring better than our teachers, and so on and so forth. And if we are trying to make a competence-based curriculum, we can make use of even those that we least expect. So it is a curriculum that everyone should be excited with and get involved. This doesn't remove the technocrats from their role, but we are saying it must be encompassing. I don't know if I'm still on the air. I can see.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so in terms of the reforms, there is one other aspect that is controversial a little bit for your information. We have come back to Zambian languages as a question that is always coming. But we have gone back to English as the language of instruction. I want to make this clear to the general public that this does not mean that we are killing our languages. You know, the languages will be taught. But what we are saying is that because we do not want, we want the one Zambia, one nation where no one will think is superior than the other, but everyone on board, they can commute, they can officially be instructed in English from ECE to grade 3, which is the lower primary school where this affects. But what we have said is that even though English is the language of instruction, they will do what we call code switching. And in code switching, we are saying it will no longer just be the 7 official languages that we all know. You know, Amkaonde by tribe, including Kikaonde. But these other languages, if a person is where the languages are, and is teaching in the language of instruction, and what is teaching needs to be, you know, translated or interpreted to the learners, they will use language. They will not force matters to use a language because it's that language or that language. This is what we are saying on this, and I wanted people to get that. So it is actually not that, and that's why you see, if possible, we are saying 73 languages can be used. Hello? That is very important. But this also, I should put it on record, we are not saying we have done away with these languages that are on the media you are using, and so on, the 7 local languages. No, those will be, but other languages are coming up. And for your own information, some other languages have even started developing their orthography, because for a language to, be in the school system and they must have the orthography that they will use for writing and the like. And so far we have about 12 of them that have come on board.
Are you referring to the Lamba? Because I'm aware the Lamba have an orthography and it's circulating and piloting. CDC, the Curriculum Development Center, must have looked at their work. Is it one of them?
Yes, these others, it's one of them, please. If my father is partly Lamba, so I get excited. Yeah, Tumbuka, this side,
Okay.
They are not contented with Chinyanja, the Lusaka Chinyanja for my brother Noah. No,
the Lusaka version.
But there's an aspect I want to bring out, Mr.
Yes,
Ken,
please.
that needs to be, known with everyone, that change in many times is never easy to accept.
Sure.
So there's an issue of resistance to change, not only, in communities, among people that actually can understand, even amongst the teachers themselves. So
It's true.
the efforts that are being put in place need to be enhanced. I think forums like this need to be encouraged. We need to hold many of these so that awareness campaigns can help us break, this resistance in communities, among stakeholders. You'll be shocked to learn that even the stakeholders that you want to engage or involve, amongst them are some, that are, with mixed feelings about it. So we need to start. That is and we have started. So when we have started, the roadmap, 5 years, is it 5 years, 2030? We've given ourselves 2025 to 2030, according to what is in the curriculum framework. In terms of rolling out the curriculum framework and conscientizing the masses, developing the materials slowly, you are looking at it from the implementation side in terms of how schools, how teachers, us from higher education institutions are also looking at it from a different perspective. We are the people that train the teachers. So if we are going to train an early childhood learner, what kind of a curriculum ought we to have, must we have, should we develop? We developed a 4-year learning program. Okay, so early childhood now has moved from, is it 3 years? You've got primary that is segmented and truncated for a number of years. Then you have secondary, which is, and as they go to university, it's the A levels. So we need to realign as higher education institutions to that. So we have a whole lot of stakeholders that need to come on board. That's just what I was trying to say, Mr. Ken, that we need to increase awareness. We need to be very strategic in how we engage different stakeholders. And amongst the same stakeholders, we must identify others that must be more or less what we always do, trainer of trainers, ambassadors that must go in their institutions to pilot. As it stands now, institutions of higher learning have not started this talk. How do we realign our curricula so that we train a teacher today who can go and teach an early childhood class, a primary school teacher? We've taken it for granted. Our curricula still speaks to the needs of the secondary schools, which is not true. Times are changing. So we need to realign. It's an issue of realignment, not necessarily change in content. Yes, we can beef it up, because one of the aspects that you'll be interested to know relates to digitalization, digital literacy. We are now talking about how to blend in AI in education. A huge topic, very huge topic. Okay, I saw you. You want to chip in?
Yeah, just one thing. I like that. You may wish to know that actually by privilege, yesterday we were just coming back from a meeting where we were meeting the universities at Mulungushi to orient them on the same. And the very issues you are bringing up, Doc, actually are the issues that were coming up. And we felt it was not even adequate, that kind of engagement. We promised we needed to engage on a more extensive, mode. We met the public universities, the lecturers, deans, and the VCs and so on. And then we also had another day which we only met the private universities, and just to highlight what the changes and to have an engagement on how this can fit into the programs that the universities would have, and probably have a common understanding, like you have said, about the A levels in relation to that reduction of the years in those, university programs that they have. So it was a wonderful time, and a lot of questions came up. Some answered, others not really fully answered. We hope to answer them.
Okay, I see the students because we had some students from Mindolo Secondary School. They've been having some technical challenges as well as other folks who are. I know sometimes internet is something that obviously when we talk about education, ensuring that at least broadband internet is the norm. I don't know. Obviously, the government has got some challenges in terms of finances because there are other things that need to be attended to. But in terms of reaching the rural areas and these other places, there is definite need, especially in this space and this time and age, having internet connection, because people can just plug in and then boom, they are connected to different resources, not only in Zambia, but I think we live in a global market and everything is just plugged in with Wi-Fi and internet. So obviously it's not the focus for our conversation, but I think ensuring that at least rural areas, because you see people in other parts, they are struggling. They want to be part of the conversation, but the internet is in the way. So let me see if the students are able to, again, they are.
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
notice you are saying it's not part of the discussion. It is. You know, the government official here will tell us when they introduced computer studies at grade 8 and 9 as compulsory, many people complained. And what you're talking about now is one of the issues they raised. But you know, the government didn't U-turn. The question I would ask, because you are on the other side, we are educationists and we are telling you, I think it helped because we see a cadre of students who come to university at least able to operate a computer. It's very embarrassing to see a student enroll in university in this age and era, and they begin to ask you, what did you say, mouse? What did you mean? You think it's, you know, that animal in the bush? No. So some of these initiatives by the government are very timely. It's just that implementation sometimes is very difficult. Why? Because we've got areas that are along the line of rail and those that are not along the line of rail. But if schools are innovative, I know of a school in the far-flung areas of Sichili after, is it Sesheke district? I don't know, it's Sichili district. They began the fish pond when the PS started that initiative, and they were making a lot of money. They were able to get some backup power. Meaning, during practical sessions for computer studies for learners, they're okay. So what makes school A perform and school B not perform is an aspect of educational leadership and management. It comes back to us. In the olden days, we never used to have a component of educational leadership and management in teachers training. So we saw teachers go to these schools, they find it's a 2 million in their account. The first thing is they've never seen 2 million as a head teacher, and they plunder it, forgetting they're supposed to get the key resources needed for the school. So when you say it's not involved, it's involved. We need them to be techno-literate.
Yes. No, actually, what I was referring to, obviously, because we are planning a different conversation where we will look into how the internet, for instance, like I think I've been part of some conversations where we've been discussing why is it that customer service, because I mean, for those who may not know, I am plugging in from the US, from Trump Nation. So over here we have broadband internet where it's not like the bundles situation in Zambia. So there have been companies that are looking for people who can do customer service. But the challenge is that in Zambia, in most cases, you find that the broadband is not across the board. So you find that they resort to countries in Asia and these other places. So some of us were saying, but we have a lot of people in Zambia who speak better English. But the issue is the internet, is the connection. Because you don't want, for instance, you're having this conversation and then calls are dropping and then customers, I mean, they lose clients and that type of thing. So there's a definite need for the government to do what they can to see how that can, obviously, it requires a little bit of leadership and effective planning, because I think when we look at schools here where I am, one of the things that I wish Zambians can emulate is some of our children, when they go to school, the teachers themselves, this is what is very touching, something that I find very fascinating. When the teacher is preparing a lesson and it requires certain aspects that maybe he or she has to buy a few things that will help to have some aids or visuals for the lesson, the teachers use their own money. They go into their pockets and they go to the stores and then they buy all kinds of things that they will aid them in the lesson. That is almost unheard of in Zambia, because we've seen a lot of, I think you've seen on TV, where teachers are presented checks because they go above and beyond, because they say, in order for me to have this lesson, I need to purchase maybe extra books, or I need to purchase extra such and such. So they look to themselves because they show leadership. They want to make sure that at least when they are working on whatever lesson, they have everything possible. But when you look at some of us, I went to Monali, the chemistry lab is non-existent. If you go into the physics lab, it's almost non-existent. So you have this type of lack of equipment. Then what can we produce when we don't have the necessary tools needed? So this is why it's very important for us as a people, not only just the government, but I think even for the teachers, to make sure that at least they are looking within, because you do what you can, not necessarily. If the government is not sending in the money, then people just sit back and forget about everything else. It's very, very important to make sure that at least when we are looking to develop the educational system of the country, that we do everything possible. The government obviously has a key role to play, but it's also incumbent upon all of us as respectable citizens to do everything possible. So I think, I don't know if Mr. Janina, you have a comment on that. I see, let's see.
Yeah, it's really, like you have rightly put it, and what Dr. Daniels mentioned. You know, it's all of us. You know, education is really, it needs a lot of efforts. I never knew. Let me give you this background. I didn't even introduce myself to that extent. I've been a primary school teacher before. I've been a secondary school teacher before. I've gone into management. I've headed the schools, okay, before I became a curriculum specialist. And the challenges in the schools are there. You find one school is operating and producing results better than the other school, you know. And in those days, we could not even allow a phone to be found with a learner. But, you know, things are going to change. This is true. Some schools, some children have been punished. Some children have been sent out of school because they were found with a phone. But where are we going now? Doc brought in the issue of the AI, which was an issue even among the meetings that we had, you know. But the key thing that we want to bring on board is that they can use with certain guidelines and control of what they are using so that they become productive. Because some of the things can make them unproductive and, you know, take away even their critical thinking and so on. We want them to do research, but it shouldn't worry anyone. Because in terms of assessment, of course, for assignments, if lecturers gave assignments at a higher institution of learning and a child just pushes in, you know, that question, the answer will come. And if the lecturer also is not moving with technology, because this competence must go from a learner to a teacher and so on, and the lecturer, there are also other things that can check how much of the AI information has been put in this assignment. But for our assessments, I want to mention this. It's ECZ that assesses, because there will be more of competence-based. If they are working on projects, you can't stop them from finding information on how to do that project. But what will be marked is not that information they have, is the actual thing that they are working on, which they are doing. And that gives us the hope that the child has used the information to be creative. Did you realize, let me just say this to the public, that you cannot have a competence without knowledge about it. The knowledge, we are not saying it's left aside. We are saying the emphasis should not just be knowledge, but people should be knowledgeable in order to create, to do certain things. And when they are able to use that knowledge to do, the better. So the country can develop in that way. The issue that I can end with here is the issue of orientation. It is true, like Doc said, even our teachers right now, we write just the modules to guide them as we wait for materials from publishers and the like. Reports are coming that they are failing to interpret just a module, a teaching module. And social media would even exaggerate it,
That's true.
But these are true. These are trends, and they are able, and simple things, they are able to manipulate them. It is ongoing. The people we oriented, for your information, it's just the teachers of EC level 1, grade 1, and form 1. Those are the ones we've so far oriented, because orientation is going on. Why did we start with those? Because the implementation has started with those. So we are still going on orienting, and the general public needs to be oriented if they have to help their children also into the career pathways. It is a big task. And I like interacting with the people with a passion and, that knowledge of what we intended to do. So they'll bridge between government and private sector. Actually, the relationship, let me put it that, should even become stronger now that we wanted to produce a learner who is useful in the industry. Because we are not producing a learner just is useful in the industry as well. So there must be that link, or else they will have no employees in the future.
That's true.
All right.
True. That's true. Well said. Well said. Now, I think we are coming towards the end of the program. So now I think there's going to be a follow-up program to see where we are at. And obviously, there were a number of people who've been having some challenges with the network and all that stuff. And also the students who also been struggling with this internet. So we are hoping that in future, broadband internet will be the norm in Zambia, so that at least people are not really struggling. But it also encompasses upon others as well. Like we say, it's not necessarily just the government. But as we are concluding, let's go to your final thoughts. Mr. Jenaina, what would you like for the teachers, the learners, and the stakeholders out there, just the citizens, what would you like them to know about this initiative and what government is doing? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The first thing is that I want to categorically put it that competence-based curriculum has come, and we have even started teaching. We piloted, so the steps that it has gone have reached its final stage where the implementation has to be done. And so far, we are almost weeks into this implementation. But the fears that people have about the teachers, is what we have been addressing. And this is an ongoing process of trying to orient them so they can catch up with what we expect. And we are glad that we used as many teachers, for your information, lecturers, subject associations in the development of the syllabi that they are using. And we have done the training of trainers, master trainers, and they've gone to orient those. But not all teachers are oriented, because there are those questions you find one cannot answer anything yet. Probably they have not been yet oriented. We cannot claim that everyone else is oriented, because it is ongoing, and we hope to do that. And the general public, please bear with us. These programs are meant for the public, and we are also using other methods of trying to orient. And we hope that at the end of the day, the learners and everyone else will benefit. Thank you.
Okay. So now, thank you, sir. And we're going to go to Dr. Polomaka. What are your final thoughts on this conversation?
This has been a reflective moment, a moment where we, as we teacher training institutions, hear a lot from communities, from students about the rigidity, flexibility in terms of accepting the new curriculum and the framework that has been put in place. What I would want to say is, as teacher training institutions, we need to just join the government in hands and work towards realigning our curricula. And we must step forward and support the continuous professional development programs, the CPDs, so that we can help teachers who are already serving realign or their already trained knowledge and content, so that it aligns with the skill set that we want our learners to drive home with. And also, I would want to urge parents to say, having taught in a special school, I'm a special education teacher, and I taught at a special unit before and taught at a secondary school. Now I teach at university. So I understand how rigid teachers can be when it comes to accepting change. So I would want to urge teachers to say, fellow teachers, let's accept change. Let's try and realign. It's for the good of the learner. Let's leverage what the government has put in place. Thank you.
All right. So Dr. Polomaka and Mr. Ginaina will definitely be in touch in the follow-up weeks, because we need to circle back to this conversation and continue sharing this information with our listeners, with our teachers, with our citizens, so that collectively we can all be moving at the same pace. So I would like to thank you again, Dr. Mpolomaka and Mr. Ginaina. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to a special broadcast looking at the educational curriculum that has been implemented in the country of Zambia in Southern Africa. Education is a driving force for change. So when we talk about education, what we are saying is that people, in addition from reading and writing, people need to be in a position to bring about development. And to develop is not necessarily bringing about buildings, is developing the mind in such a way that the mind is able to solve its own problem. So when we talk about that, we're looking at what culture are we addressing? So the challenges that Zambia faces are different, obviously, from the challenges that are faced in, let's say, in the United States. So you find that on the spectrum of development, what Zambia has to address are the needs, for instance, the drought, the challenges of electricity, load shedding, and agriculture, and challenges of internet. And when you look at, for instance, in the United States, they do not have to worry about drought. They are not worried about the internet. So education has to address the particular challenges and issues that the country is facing. So this is a noble cause that the government is doing, and it's also incumbent upon the citizens to be part and parcel to support the government to do everything possible to ensure that, at least, especially, there are a lot of us in the diaspora, and actually I call on the government to reach out to a lot of us who are based in the diaspora, because there are a lot of experts. Some of us have been in different types of leadership, and we have mastered or attained certain levels of education, and we are looking how can we channel this information, this expertise, this experience to the development of the country. So the government has to be able to utilize or harness the expertise of those who are residing outside the country and create some pathways that are realistic, that are reasonable, to ensure that at least the people abroad are able to bring about meaningful change. So education is the key. And in order for us to succeed as a country, we have to not only look at some of us were reading about Mulenga, Angelita, Sarah, Robert back then, but things have changed. Now we have the advent of AI, and the Chinese are doing great and meaningful, innovative education that just in a few weeks ago, we saw DeepSeek. It's an open eye model which the folks in Zambia can take advantage and look at how can we utilize that to our advantage. What is it that we can do? So when we talk about education, is looking to bring about meaningful change that addresses the specific challenges that the country is facing. So we will circle back, I think, in the next few weeks to pick it up from there, and also to give an opportunity for those who may not have had a chance to share their thoughts. Obviously, there were some challenges with the internet, but again, I just want to thank Dr. Daniel Mpolomaka and Mr. Kenny Jenaina from the Curriculum Development Center is the principal curriculum specialist, and then there are others, Dr. Daniel Kabani, who chimed in, and Mr. Aaron Chansa, and others who unfortunately were not able to be on the program. So we'll circle back, like I say, in the next few weeks. So you want to subscribe to our channel so that at least when programs like this come up, then you are in a position to be alerted, so that at least you know when the next program is going to be on. So ladies and gentlemen, we thank you, we appreciate you, and stick around for more educational, uplifting information as we circle back and forth, ensuring that Zambia is the best African country, and it is going to take us as Africans, as Zambians, to do that which we need to do. Thank you, and bye for now.